Hey everyone, it's Ruby Kaiser from RamsLive, and we've got a little RamsLive After Dark here in Canvas Stadium. If you missed the memo, a few moments ago, CSU football just dropped their 2026 schedule, so we're going to be talking all things football tonight. But I can't help but acknowledge our CSU women's basketball team is playing right now, and they're up against San Diego State on the road, so we'll be giving you all the updates about that throughout the show as well. We've got some great guests joining us tonight, starting it off, CSU head football coach Mora. Then we've got athletic director John Weber joining us, football analyst Yogi Roth, the voice of the Rams Brian Roth, and then Christy Bollender, the executive director of the Alumni Association. This show's going to last about 30 minutes long. We'll have some few breaks between segments, so make sure to stick around. You don't want to miss any of the action. I had the chance to talk to Coach Mora a little bit earlier today. Let's check it out. Coach, the schedule for CSU's first season in the Pac-12 dropped tonight. What are some of your initial thoughts on the schedule and about this upcoming season?
Well, I like the fact that we start with 3 home games. I think we can get some momentum going. It gives our fans a chance to come out and watch kind of this new team. Other than that, I haven't really looked too far down the road, I'm just excited to take them one at a time and do the best we can each week.
You've said in the past that the Pac-12 represents excellence. It always has. It still does. What kind of opportunities do you think will open up for CSU moving into this conference?
Well, we have to create our opportunities just by the way we play. But I just think that, the Pac-12, to me, it's a conference I'm very, very familiar with, and it's one that I take a lot of pride in representing. And I'm excited to see what we can do as a conference. I think the possibilities are limitless. I think there's opportunities for somebody to get into the college football playoff. We just have to go out and play good football, put on good shows for those people on the East Coast that are some of the decision makers, and convince people to stay up and watch the Pac-12 After Dark. And but I think it's really exciting. I like what they did at the end of the year with the flex scheduling. I think that presents just some real intrigue as we go through the season. It kind of builds almost to like a second Pac-12 championship game. So I think it's very well thought out. I'm really excited about being a part of it.
I know everyone from the Pac-12 is excited to have Jim Mora back in the Pac-12. We'll hear from Yogi Roth a little bit later. When you were building your coaching staff and recruiting out of the transfer portal, what about this conference switch was the selling point for people?
The Pac-12, as you said, it's always represented excellence. It's a conference of champions. It's very well respected. The brand is huge around our country, and now it's up to us as a new Pac-12 to reestablish that, reaffirm it, help it grow. Just the brand, the identity, the commitment to excellence. I think the right people are in place to do it. It's just really exciting for me to be back in the Pac-12. I played in this conference when it was the Pac-10. My dad coached in it was the Pac-8. I coached in it when it was the Pac-12, and now I'm back in the Pac-12. And like I said, it's something I've always taken a lot of pride in. And when I worked at ESPN, I tried to spread the gospel of the Pac-12. I mean, it's people don't give it the respect that it deserves sometimes, and so our mission, I think, is to go out there and just capture everyone's attention.
I love it. And you touched on it a little bit earlier, but the flex games in week 13 and then the opportunity to host a home championship game. How do you feel about these additions to the schedule?
Well, I'm excited about it. My first year at UCLA, we played in the Pac-12 championship game, but it was at Stanford. This was before they made it a neutral site. And I can tell you it was a huge advantage for Stanford. And so it's just another incentive to go out and play well all year to try to earn that home field advantage for the playoff game. And I really am a fan of it.
3 home games
to start off the season. We're opening up with a big rivalry, one that fans really care about here at CSU with the border war. What do you hope to see from your team in that game, and is it exciting to start the season with a home big game like that?
It is exciting. Now we try to treat every game the same, no matter who we're playing or where we're playing or when we're playing. But I think it's hard to ignore the fact that, it is against, Wyoming, and it is for the boot, and it is the border war. And those are things that are all new to me, but I'm learning about it, and I'm learning the importance of it. And, I think it gives us just an opportunity to go out and establish what kind of team we're looking to become as we go through the season.
Thank you so much for your time, Coach. It was great to have you on Rams Live tonight. Stay tuned. We'll have Athletic Director John Weber joining us next.
It's always so great to hear from Coach Mora. And now we have CSU Athletic Director John Weber in the house trying to keep warm with me out here for some Rams Live After Dark. Thanks for joining us, John.
Absolutely. A pleasure to be here.
And I think our schedule just got released a few moments ago, so make sure to check that out if you haven't seen it on our socials yet. I don't think a lot of people realize what goes into building a schedule from an athletic director's point of view. So can you give us some perspective on your side of things?
Yeah, for building out the entire schedule, we've got the non-conference slate and then we've got the conference slate. So when we look at non-conference side, we schedule that out years in advance sometimes. And, there's a lot of art and science, both associated with the non-conference schedule anymore to make sure that you're doing everything that you possibly can to give your team the best possible chance to get in and competing in the college football playoff. On the conference side of things, the athletic directors in the new Pac-12, we work a lot together to figure out the best way to assemble that schedule to give our best team the best chance of competing in the college football playoff. At the end of the day, that's what the conference's main prerogative is relative to football scheduling, is how do we make sure that we give our best team the best chance of competing for a championship.
And we've got some really exciting games that are slated on the schedule, and all of those are going to be on national television. The Pac-12 signed a deal to have their games aired on CBS, the CW, and some different channels nationally through 2031. What does that kind of viewership do for the athletic department, our teams, and just like the exposure of the university as a whole?
Yeah, it's when you really look at the purpose of college athletics, is to market the university and to highlight what we're doing from an academic and research perspective, and to attract students to the campus. So we work incredibly hard at that, and the result of that is full stadiums, full canvas stadium, and a great student turnout, like we've had for the last couple of years.
You're a very goal-oriented leader, John. What are some of the goals that you have for the 2026 football season?
Yeah, and talking a little bit more about what we're trying to achieve also with the national television piece is when we have more exposure for us, we attract more students, but we also have an opportunity to make our sponsorship deals a little bit more valuable, and things like the jersey patches, which the NCAA just approved for our uniforms. Those are more valuable for our sponsors and our partners as well. So that's a really, really important part. But getting back to what we're at this this upcoming season, we want to do everything to make this a fun time, a really good and engaging time, and we've worked really hard on that over the last couple of years, and we continue to do that to make sure that we're putting on a really great game production and engaging the crowd, and working really hard on what's happening before the game as well. We talk amongst ourselves around. Every time that there's a football game, there's actually two games. There's the game outside the stadium and the game inside the stadium, and we want to win both of them.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on the jersey patch thing? I think that's a new thing that people may be curious
about.
Yeah,
it is. It is new, and just within the last week or two, the NCAA did come out and say, you're allowed to put 2 additional sponsor patches on jerseys. So you already have the conference patch. Whoever your apparel partner is, that'll be somewhere on the uniform. But you've got the ability to put up to 2 additional sponsor patches on the uniform anywhere. They could be, on a softball helmet. It could be on a volleyball short. It could be on a football jersey. So, we're looking at a lot of different spots that we can do with that, and making sure that we're aligning ourselves with the right partner for Colorado State for that.
And for the 3rd year in a row, we have 7 home games here in Canvas Stadium, looking to fill it up, like you said. I know this is an intentional effort. What does it mean to have 7 home games here for our team and for our fans?
Yeah, it's a very intentional effort. Anytime that we can play, 7 or even more games at home, it gives us the home field advantage. gives another opportunity for our fans to engage with our folks. But it's also, frankly, in this revenue era, it's another opportunity for us to generate revenue for the department. It's incredibly important that we're doing everything that we can to maximize every opportunity that we have to give ourselves a competitive advantage.
Well, John, thank you so much for joining Rams Live. It was great to have you out here. Hopefully you're not too chilly.
I'm
out
good.
On the deck. It's a true Coloradan right there. We've got Yogi Roth, college football analyst, coming up next. You're not going to want to miss it.
Hey Ram fans, it's Ruby Kaiser here from Rams Live. Lucky to be joined by Yogi Roth here, longtime college football analyst. Did some work for the Pac-12, will continue to do some stuff there. He does the Y Option podcast for the conference, and then also doing some football stuff for NBC, calling some big games this fall. So really lucky to have you join the show today. Thanks, Yogi.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I know it's an exciting time for everybody in college football when this league that it's such longevity, history behind it is now fully formed, at least as we see it today. Who knows where we'll continue to go. So I know the people of Colorado State, you must be jacked about it. And it sounds like around the country they are as well.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited as a CSU alum. And then I grew up in the Northwest cheering on some teams in the Pac-12. So it's fun to be a part of the conference now in this way. You have a relationship with our new coach, Jim Mora. He was just on your podcast. Was it exciting to find out that he was going to be back in the Pac-12?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think when the Pac-12 had to reimagine how it was going to formulate and Colorado State became one of the members, to see them go out and hire a guy like Jim Mora, it's not even close. Like, he's the most successful coach in this league. When you just look at his multiple stints in the NFL, what he did at UCLA, his history around the game. I mean, heck, as he grew up as a child, I mean, you saw it when he was hired at Colorado State and Peyton Manning giving him a shout out on social media. And then for me as a friend, somebody I've known for a long time now, he's a dear friend, and I've gotten to know him and his family over the course of now over a decade at least. And he's got a competitiveness, of course, a football acumen, but a desire to really turn young men into real men. And I think in the world that we live in college football, it's so transient, as you know, in college athletics, especially in basketball and football. And I think for him, he's so excited to have this chapter in his career. He referenced my podcast, Y Option. He came on a couple weeks ago and shared what it was like to take the job and then dig in on the job. And then also like the excitement around this league. I mean, he was in the old Pac-12 as the head coach at UCLA, and now he's in this one. And it's really fun when you look at the 8 teams that are in it for college football. To be able to predict who's going to go win it all, I think it's hard. Look at Boise and all their success, but I think what Coach Mora can do, what Sean Lewis can do, what a lot of these new coaches can do that are now in their first year, it's going to make every week really enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, we're so excited to have Coach Mora here in Fort Collins, and definitely make sure to check out the Y Option podcast with him. I'll be going and listening to that after this. What excites you the most about this new era of the Pac-12? You saw it in its original form, and now it's revamping.
Well, I think number one, I go to the human side of it. I mean, so many people are affected and their families, like mine included. So to watch Teresa Gould, the commissioner, compete when this thing didn't know if it was going to reformulate. She did, along with Washington State and Oregon State and the leaders in those respective institutions, has been marvelous to watch. So I go to that of like my friends that have jobs, right? And now the Pac-12 will be hiring and these schools now become a part of it. So I go right to the humanity around this thing immediately. Okay, after that, then I go to the excitement around this league. I mean, it is a brand that is very unique. I mean, we look at like the Power 4 leagues, they are what they are. They're historical as well. And then there's the Pac-12, and then there's the rest of college football. So we're in a really unique time, especially when you look at a 12-team playoff with the highest ranked non-Power 4 going to go. And I think the Pac-12, whoever comes out of this thing as its champion, to me will be that de facto position in the CFP, which is really exciting. And then I probably finish off with the creativity. Having that flex schedule at the end of the season is the storyline that we've seen all over social media now since the schedules have been released. This is really creative. And I'll be curious to see what other leagues do at the back end of the league. And we've heard this last year. Now, I work a lot for the Big Ten, as you referenced, calling games for Big Ten Network and now NBC, and love them dearly. There was a big discussion around play-in games. Now, will there be a discussion around flex games? I mean, I love that part of this. So I think those are probably the 3 things: the humanity, the excitement of all the new teams coming in with around the CFP, and then finally the flex scheduling. I think it just gives the league its best shot to do what all these teams want to do, which is play in the postseason.
I love that breakdown. That was perfect. I love the 3 tiers of that are so important. Sometimes people forget about that first tier of the humanity part. So I'm excited for the Pac-12 to be back. For our fans who are watching and the schedules have just dropped, can you break down what that flex game is that's going to happen right before the Pac-12 playoff?
For sure. Well, the way I understand it is that in the final week of the regular season, there is a de facto projected opponent right now, but that can change up until 6 days prior to the game. So if you look at Colorado State, they're going to have a home game in the final week of the season. Who their opponent will be is TBD, right? They've got a projected opponent, of course, but then now based on whatever the CFP is. So let's just play it out. And let's just say that your Colorado State team is on the cusp of going to the playoff. Okay, well, do you want to position them against another team? Let's just pretend, I don't know, whoever has to have an away game. I think San Diego State has to have a road game. If they're also on the cusp, they could play each other. And I love that idea of like, let's not run from competition. Let's actually bring it to the forefront. And I think it's important, especially with the home-hosted model, which is probably the 4th thing on that list of 3 that stand out, the home-hosted model in the championship game. I think it just makes the last couple weeks of the season really matter in a powerful way. And the other thing that'll, I hope it doesn't get lost in this, but this is only an 8-team league right now in football. And I referenced the Big Ten. I mean, there's 18 teams. You don't play everybody once, let alone twice. You're going to play somebody twice in this year. And then I think within the flex model, while it's so exciting, it's also got the ability within a league to change next year. And I think that's a really cool part of what Teresa Gould and the athletic directors and the school presidents have agreed upon of like, let's be a creative league. Let's be a new age league. Let's not be afraid to change things and try things and take risks. So that flex schedule, having a home game for Colorado State, just imagine what that stadium will be like. What if they're playing their way into a potential championship game? What if they're right on the cusp of a top 25 ranking? Like all of those things will be really fun, especially for them coming off of 2 road games at Washington State, at Fresno State, 2 really hard places to play with electric crowds, as you know, to finish it off with a home game that's a flex schedule. It just makes it, I don't like be too dramatic on like must-see TV, but I think there's intrigue around every team at the end of the season in a way that is really hard to find in most conferences in college football unless you have an epic rivalry in your final game.
I think you put that so perfectly. I think as a broadcaster as well, it's fun to have that little drama at the end of the season. And when we were talking about the possibilities early on, I was definitely internally voting for it to be the way that it ended up being. So I'm really excited about that too. You mentioned that the championship game will be a home hosted championship. What kind of possibilities does that present, and how do you feel about the way that that panned out?
It's my favorite thing, I think, in college football. The Pac-12 back in the day, we used to have it in the earlier era. And I remember going to Arizona State, I remember going to different campuses for the home hosted model. This was pre-college football playoff expansion. Well, now we have expansion. So for fans, it gets expensive. And I've always felt that college football is about the players and the fans and all too often. And I think this is kind of a head nod to the fans of like, yep, you don't have to go travel. You get to have a home game. You get to have a home playoff game because it is a playoff game. Losers out, winner, as I said earlier, I think advances to the college football playoff. I think it's a enormous opportunity. I think it's a great advantage for whoever earns that opportunity to play at home. It's how a lot of the leagues work, right? Like the National Football League, you get a home hosted model. If you're the best team, you kind of get home field advantage. So I think it'll be huge for everybody. Fans, most importantly, the players, their families. They don't have to travel again. If they do win, then okay, spend your money going to the playoff or going to your bowl game. So yeah, I'm all in on it. I understand why you don't have it and understand the corporate side of it. But for this year, the fact that the Pac-12 is doing it is something that I'm really intrigued by.
I agree. I'm super excited for that part of it as well. My last question for you, Yogi, just what do you envision the next couple steps of this conference being?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think, as a football guy, like you got to see the product on the field. I mean, the foundation has been laid, right? The league was, teetering. Teresa Gould and company, as I referenced, the Cougs and the Beavs, they banded together, as they said a couple years ago, like, welcome to the fight. They were going to fight their way out of it. They did. And they brought in all these other teams that I think are really intriguing. Now you look at all these new coaches in this league, extremely intriguing. Okay, the schedule is set. Great. You got a flex model. You got a home hosted model. You got a pass to the playoff that makes sense. Now you got to put the product on the field. So that's what I can't wait to go see. Like, what do these teams look like in the spring? How do they develop in training camp? Nobody's going to add any more players outside the freshmen that arrive, potentially in the summertime based on your quarter or semester system. But overall, like, how competitive are they? Like, what is the premium level of talent? And I think we all know that, I work in the Big Ten, is loaded with talent, but I also just watched the Super Bowl and there are 9 players from the FCS playing in the game. So how do these coaches identify and develop? I can't wait to look at the quarterback battles. Most of these places aren't locked down and they have that position. I think because this league's coaching is really premium, I think so many games are to come down to the end. So I'm looking really forward to how this thing finishes off.
Well, I am so excited. Thank you so much for joining Rams Live. We really appreciate your time and excited to see you this fall.
Got it.
Isn't it so great to hear from college football analyst Yogi Roth? And now we have our residential college football analyst, not to be confused, Brian Roth. Brian, thanks for joining the show. What are some of your initial thoughts on this football schedule?
Yeah, back-to-back Roths on the show tonight. You can't beat that. When the schedule came out, obviously we knew the non-conference schedule, and you're going to get 3 non-conference home games just like you did last year, and that's always a great way to start off. And then you get your first conference opener against Oregon State, and that's a home game. Then you get that bye week. So, you get 4 of the first 5 at home. Then you get the bye week. You're going to have a pretty good understanding of what this football team's about, and a really great opportunity for Coach Mora here in his first season to get off to a great start. Boy, you get off to that good start. You get the bye week, and then you get into the meat of that conference schedule. You have a chance to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's exciting to see. We've got Oregon State. I had to bring it up because that's my home state. They're a headline game on the schedule. We've faced them in the past as well as some other Pac-12 foes. What do you think will compare about this matchup this year?
Well, let me just say this. I think it's apropos that the first Pac-12 game is going to be against Oregon State because the first ever game at this stadium was against Oregon State. They're a great team to have on the docket for a first. Of course, think back to 2017 in this building. It's still one of my favorite memories of Colorado State Ram football. I mean, from Hughes to here, I mean, the atmosphere is electric. Trey Thomas with the interception return. I mean, 58-27, the Rams rolled. What a great way to christen this building. Played a double overtime game in Corvallis 2 years ago that I thought the Rams probably could have, should have won. And then, look, it's an Oregon State team that went 2-10. They have a first-year head coach, and so you'll have a couple of coaches trying to build their programs.
Definitely a lot of excitement with these games. BYU, a very exciting game. Former WAC and Mountain West rival. I know you covered the team when BYU was facing off against the Rams. What are some memories that jump out from that rivalry?
I'm old, number one, Ruby. I've been around a long time, right? I think the memory that jumps out to me most, and look, BYU has kind of had the Rams number, although over the years, in the last 40 years. But Sonny Lubick did beat BYU 4 times, including back in 2003. Colorado State went to Provo. They hung 58 on the Cougars. They beat them 58-13. I was a sideline reporter back then. It was one of the most fun games I've ever been a part of because BYU and Lavelle Edwards, they had really had Colorado State's number in the 80s and then into the 90s, and for Colorado State to do that, but look, that's a BYU team that is really good. They went 11-2 2 years ago. They went 12-2 last year, and Kalani Sitake has that program really going. So it'll be fun to get BYU back here. I know in 2 or 3 years the Rams are going to be traveling back to Provo.
It's exciting. I've heard that the Cougars are traveling deep, too. Have you had any experience with those BYU fans before?
Oh, yeah. The great BYU fans. Yeah, no, a ton of experience with them back in Provo. And I'm sure there's going to be a ton out here. I mean, why not? They're going to make the drive. They haven't been to Fort Collins in a long time, and everybody loves coming to Fort Collins.
When you look at this schedule top to bottom, where do you see the swing games? Where do you see the games that fans are overlooking that will help determine CSU's fate at the end of the season?
Yeah, you got to get off to a good start. We talked about that again, 4 of the first 5 at home. Then you get into conference play, and the game that kind of is right there for me. It's the Halloween night game. Shouldn't say night game, a Halloween game in Logan, Utah against Utah State, because that's a program that the Rams have played great games with. That should be a winnable game. because you have Boise State the next week. Then you have 2 road games to close out conference play after that. So that's going to be an interesting couple weeks there, because you go on the road, Utah State on Halloween, then you come home. Last time Boise State was here, we all know what happened with Dallin Holker and the Hail Mary. And then you have the 2 road games at the very end. So that's going to be a key little stretch right there at the end of October, and then November 7th when you get Boise State in here. So it should be a lot of fun.
Well, you've definitely fired me up for this season. I cannot wait to get my butt in Canvas Stadium. We will be updating on the women's basketball game. They're at halftime right now. Bargesser leads the charge with 8 points. Maddie Bragg right behind her with 7. And they're just behind by 1 basket at halftime, starting up here soon. We'll head to a short break, and then Christy Bolander is joining the show. Thank you, Christy, so much for joining Rams Live. We've got Christy Bolander here, the Executive Director of the Alumni Association. And Christy, I got to say, we got some exciting news today. We know the date of homecoming and family weekend. It's going to be October 3rd versus Oregon State, which Brian Roth just fired us up for. What are some things you have up your sleeve for that weekend?
Well, Ruby, you know, our team always has a lot of fun things up our sleeves. Homecoming and Family Weekend is going to start on October 1st with Distinguished Alumni Awards. But on Friday, we have Festival on the Oval, 50-year club reunion. Last year, we introduced a drone show that I think is going to be coming back this year. And then, of course, Saturday with our big tailgate and the football game. It's going to be a blast.
So exciting. And Oregon State's going to be here. We have some other marquee opponents coming to Canvas Stadium. We've got 7 home games. How important is it to have these big games on campus to create that kind of excitement?
I love a season with 7 home games, mainly because Colorado is our state school. Colorado State University has been here for since our beginning, right? Since 1870, and we have 150,000 living alumni in the state of Colorado. So to give them 7 home games to come out and cheer on our Rams is really, really special. We're thrilled about it.
It's so fun to have these home games. We also have a few new opponents for some out-of-state locations. How do you guys help include alumni when we have those out-of-state games?
It's really interesting you asked that, Ruby, because the footprint of the new Pac-12 so aligns with where our alumni live out of state. We have over 9,000 alumni in the state of Texas. We have 16,000 in California. We have 6,000 in the state of Washington. And to be able to bring Ram football to the backyards of our alumni is really, really special. Plus, these opponents, they're in beautiful cities, and it's such a blast to be on the road. So I'm really excited for alumni to get to see Ram football in their home states.
Like I said already, Oregon State adding is a huge, exciting addition for me. My brother went to Oregon State, so getting to be an alumni and get to go to those games is something I'm definitely looking forward to in my home state. How does the Alumni Association work with partners on campus to create a game day experience?
Well, in the Alumni Association, out of our 160 programs and events we do a year, every single one is in partnership with somebody on campus. But there's something so special about partnering with athletics. It's the esprit de corps of bringing our alumni, our students, our faculty, our whole Ram community together to cheer on our athletes who are competing in the green and gold. So we love the chance to partner with athletics.
And I know one thing that we're always talking about is how do we get more people to become Rams? How do we increase that enrollment? How do you think that the new national brand of the Pac-12 and CSU's new era is going to help increase enrollment for CSU?
Well, I think it is that national footprint, and already having such brand awareness is pretty fantastic. I think coming in as a new student, though, this year is going to be really special, just to jump in to 10 years of Canvas Stadium, the Pac-12, all of the new and exciting things that are going on around athletics. I think that's going to help us all.
For sure. It's definitely going to be an exciting year of momentum and some new things. Thank you so much for joining Rams Live. It was great to have you, Christy. And thank you all for tuning in to our Rams Live After Dark football schedule release show. Make sure to snag those football tickets because I know they're going to go soon with this new era of CSU football. You don't want to miss out on that. I'm Ruby Kaiser, and this was Rams Live.